Hello everyone. Hari Om. Welcome to the 13th episode of Sanskriti and Sanskar, the series which is have been going on since long time with the blessings of Sri Dadu Zen, our own favorite Dada. And so today's episode is very special. We are going to have a very special speaker. Her name is Srimati Reena Kupchandani, and we will welcome her in a short time. So the today's topic is the power of breathing. So breathing is our lifeline. We all day in day out we breathe, and this is how we live. So there are some techniques of powerful breathing. So I will first introduce our guest speaker today, Srimati Reena Kupchandani. Reena ji is a student of Advait Vedanta, and she is also a Hindustani classical musician. That is very interesting. Maybe we can know more about her during her speech. And also, she is a BA in philosophy, and that too specializing in Christian theology. So this is very exciting, something new which most of us don't know. She will put maybe more light on it. And today she will explain us like how can we improve our health and our life cycle via breathing properly. So, and of course, this show is entirely run in the guidance of Dada Dayal Harjani. We call them as Dadu Zen. So maybe he will also maybe come at the end. He's traveling, so he's not just part of the show, but he will try his best to join us later. So we'll not waste much of time. Let's start and welcome Srimati Reena Kupchandani to the show.
Hari Om, Jai Jhulelal. I'm here today with Dadu Zen. My name is Reena Kupchandani. I'm a student of Vedant as well as a student of Indian classical music. For my purposes, Shwas, Prana, breath are very, very important. So I'm here to ask Dadu Zen from his vast reservoir of knowledge.
Jai Shri Ram, Hari Om, Jai Jhulelal. Welcome to our podcast show and a very warm welcome to Reena Kupchandani.
And I will start with the first question instantly. Would you like to introduce the fundamentals of breathing?
Now, breath and breathing techniques are fundamental and integral part of the science of yoga. Since it is a forte of yoga, I think it would be graceful on our part to pay our respects and obeisance to the sages and our rishis who were very knowledgeable to have created, curated and consolidated all aspects of yoga, including breathing techniques under the subject matter of pranayama. I would like to first pay my respects to Lord Shiva himself, over 7000 BC as far as I remember, who gave us the Shiv Samhita. Then we have sage Matsyan Indra. Then we have Guru Gorakhnath. Then we have sage Patanjali. And then we have Swat Marama, who wrote the Hatha Pradipika, which is an authority on Hatha Yoga. At this point, I would also like to give my veneration to the people of contemporary time, like Swami Shivananda, Swami Satyananda Saraswati of Bihar Institute of Yoga, and Swami Tilumalai Krishnacharya and his favorite disciple B.Y.K. Iyengar and Indra Devi. And I would like to pay my respects to the Kaivalya Dham Ashram in Lonavala and also to Hansaji Yogendra, who have been very effective in propagating yoga all over the world. Of course, there might be many, there are many others. Swami Rama is one of them, and there's a very beautiful ashram there in Rishikesh, and extremely good course there available. So, starting and invoking their blessings, I will give you the first two premise which everyone should understand very clearly. The first two premise of yoga is, according to Hatha Pradipika, which was written by Swami Swatarama, a very important book. He says that life period is between one breath and the next. That's the duration. Those who breathe half live half, but those who breathe full have complete control of being. They become masters. And in my humble opinion, I've added those who understand the breath and live by the breath, many things will be added upon unto you. So let us understand breath very clearly, and then we will come to breathing practices. Now, the most fundamental thing that yoga talks about is that life duration is not in number of years or minutes or seconds. It is in the number of breath. So, averagely, man takes 15 breaths a minute.
15 breaths a minute.
15, yeah? Which equals to 21,600 breaths a day. Okay? This is a normal fact of life. Conversely, the monkey breathes 45 times a minute and he dies very early. His lifespan is very short. Tortoise takes only 3, maximum 4 breaths a minute, and he lives for nearly 300 years. So the idea is that if you save your breath, and if you can reduce the intake of your breath, then you can live longer. So, for example, if you can reduce the breath from 15 to 10, that will relate to 14,400 breaths a day, which is a saving of 40%. So that 40% you will be added on to your life. So that is why it is imperative that we all learn to guard our breath, to breathe consciously, to breathe slow, to breathe deep, and breathe correctly, that is abdominal breathing, to be able to sustain our existence joyfully and in a most relaxed manner.
Now that you've said that, what about people that do Bhastrika? What about all my friends who are runners and do a lot of intense exercises? Does that mean that they're going to cop it very soon? What should they do?
Very interesting question and something to really ponder about. I don't think there's anything to worry about. It's a matter of common sense. Because after doing any aerobics or any heavy exercise, there is always a rest and reconciliation period which happens by itself. So in that period, you're automatically taking slower breaths. Because once you're tired, you can't breathe fast. So you're relaxed, that's why. And when you're relaxed, your breath becomes slow. So somewhere along the line, it gets adjusted. But if you're not careful about it and you keep on exhaling all the time, then there is a possibility of reduction of life. But if you take care of yourself and know how to relax, then there is nothing to fear. A few breaths here and there doesn't really matter in life. It's the quality of life that you lead that matters, right? So even if you want to live long, but if your quality is not there, your attitude is not good, then it's of no use, right?
Understood.
That's about it.
So, if I understood right, it's okay to exert yourself as long as you balance it out by taking slower breaths at the
I
end.
think so, yes.
Oh.
You're right.
Which brings me to my next question, which is how is breath connected to prana?
Now, breath and prana are intricately linked. According to Yoga Shastras, breath is the vehicle and prana is the passenger. So prana is the inner matrix of air, which automatically comes along in breath to energize the breath, the prana shakti, which is already in us since birth. You follow? But while we are breathing, we need oxygen also for the chemical combustion and metabolism. So it's very important to have a high intake of oxygen. So under normal circumstances, when you take an inhalation, there is 79% nitrogen. Then 20% oxygen, 0.4% carbon dioxide, and 0.6 of other particulates. So this is what you inhale along with the prana. Okay, so this is what we have to really understand properly, because we need oxygen to chemicalize the cells in our body, but we need prana to put them into functionality. Without prana, nothing can function, right? The life force, prana is a life force. So it allows a cell to function and do their obligatory duty for whatever they have been performed or ordained by the Lord Himself. See, when I go into these subjects, I have a tendency to appreciate God even more, because my temple is my own body. The inner engineering is so vast, it is so staggering. The magnitude itself makes me humble, and I just fall down on my knees and say, God, really you are great. I mean, we are nothing. We are just like a small pebble with inflated balloon ego we have, which we carry around the world. So this is basically the most important aspect of breathing. And the prana that you take goes inside to sensitize the prana which is already resident inside. So that's about it.
So, to repeat, you said what is the vehicle and what is the passenger again?
The breath, the inhalation is the vehicle, subtle vehicle, and the prana is the passenger. Now when you exhale, you have to understand that a lot of exchange of gases take place, right? So when you exhale, oxygen level becomes 16 and 4.4% becomes carbon dioxide, is returned back, exhaled out as impurity along with other particulates. And the air that you breathe out is always warmer, and it says 20% 20% of the body heat is lost during that exhalation. So this you have to be careful of. So this is the link between prana and
The life force, how can I inhale it?
it needs to be inhaled to get to the body level, to get to the cells via the lungs, which I'll explain you later on, how osmosis takes place. So prana enters the cells, the bloodstream.
Does prana not already exist in the body?
It's already there. But just like many of us, the prana also becomes lazy.
Right.
It becomes weak.
So what does breath do for prana?
This is what it energizes.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, it energizes the prana, but depends on the quality of prana again. If you go to a place which is low in prana, then it will not energize the prana inside. Now, in my last topic, I had given a complete detail of how prana functions and how the breath and how even oxygen, when you take, it gives extra electrons to the bloodstream. And that house, the entire electrodynamic or field, which is called bioplasma, is energized.
Okay, so we've gone somewhere else. I still can't figure out. You said the prana of a place. Isn't prana something that exists within each individual?
See, there is Mahaprana, which is in the whole universe.
Now this is
See,
something
the
else.
entire world is we are in Mahaprana.
Mahaprana.
Yes. But how do we absorb Mahaprana? By breath,
By breath.
right? The positive polarity of that prana is absorbed through breath. And the negative polarity of prana comes through food that you eat, the nutrition. That is why it is so important to balance the polarities between what you eat and what you breathe. If you're only breathing and not eating, you'll have a problem. Or if you're eating and not breathing correctly, you'll have a problem. So you have to balance out.
So when you talk about eating, is eating what you do from your mouth or from your eyes and ears, nose? Is all of that
Only
eating?
mouth.
Only mouth.
Nutrition, food that you eat and assimilate.
Okay.
It's a metabolic activity, right?
So according to Gita's definition of ahar, ahar is anything you intake into the body.
Yeah, so
From any
normally,
of your sense organs. But here
well,
you-
those are subtle aspects of vibrations, which is not the subject matter today. It doesn't.
But breath is also subtle.
Yeah, I know, but what you see is something different, which has nothing to do with, as far as I know, nothing to do with prana.
Okay. So breath energizes prana.
No.
No.
The prana in the breath energizes the prana inside the body.
Okay, now I'm going to say that. So, Dadu Zen, the prana inside the breath energizes the prana inside the body. Is that
Correct,
right?
correct.
Okay.
Via the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, it's very detailed. For that, you have to learn prana vidya, and all the answers are there in prana vidya.
So, Dadu Zen, how does prana enter the different parts of the body?
The simple answer will be that prana enters the breath, right? Now, how does prana enter the body? Simple answer is by respiration. Okay, so what are the fundamentals of respiration? It goes into the lungs. Okay, the air goes into nearly 300 million air sacs in each lung, which are called alveoli. Now, from the alveoli, the capillaries are passing through. So, those capillaries that are passing through have extra carbon dioxide, which they give it to the alveoli, and the air that we breathe, which has got chemicals, oxygen and prana, enter the capillaries, and from the capillaries it enters the bloodstream. So those cells are energized by breath. They are oxygenated, correct? So hemoglobin count goes up. It gets, so then this bloodstream goes through different parts of the body. Now, according to what science has come across that our lung capacity is nearly 75 square meter, more than our actual skin. So can you imagine how much the more you breathe, the more the alveoli will be activated, the more the exchange will take place. But if you're going to breathe like a bird or something very shallow, then you will not be able to do justice to your lung capacity. Because blood, I was told we have nearly 12,000 miles of blood to travel in a day, and blood circulates from heart to heart 3 times a minute. So can you see the rapidity of it all? Can you see the enormity of this all? It is, mind-boggling. The more you know, the less you begin to know that you don't know nothing actually. So we have approximately 5 to 6 liters of blood in our body which circulates. And all the time what they do is get oxygen from our breath and pass it on to the trillions of cells in our body. This has got blood circulation is so important. Its blood itself is about roughly, they say, 10% of our weight. So this is how it enters the bloodstream and nourishes the cells accordingly. This is our breath.
So having explained this entire process, how then does pollution affect it?
As you'll realize, there are many kind of pollutants, right, in the air, in the environment. So we'll just touch a few. The major chemical pollutants are carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, I think nitrogen, methane, and dust. So these create a lot of impediments in the flow of the air going inside the lungs. They create obstacles, dust, pollen, all these things. Our capillaries are so fine, right? Our bronchioles are so fine. So they get stuck there, all these impurities. So the flow gets impeded, right? So then once the flow gets impeded, your cells, your alveoli don't get proper nourishment, proper exchange. So automatically there is suffering. There is a weakness in your entire bloodstream and blood flow, right? So that is one. Then the other thing is, one must avoid certain places. Now, there is also something like psychic pollution, or we can say pranic pollution. Certain cities, certain places you go, you don't feel good about it. You feel very negative. Like places of lust, places in movie houses, or you mix with people who are hostile, anger. That environment, the pranic level is low. So that is psychic pollution. That's why जूने ज़माने में बोलते थे ना, भाई उस घर का पानी भी मत पियो. क्यों? Why? ऐसे क्यों बोलते थे? Because of the prana aspect is very low. So if you consume that, it will affect you negatively. There is many religious, I think even the Brahma Kumaris before, I remember, they never used to eat in other people's houses. Because some people eat meat and things like that. So those vibrations also affect. And there is also electromagnetic vibrations from astral bodies that affect us. That's why we are taught to do Navagraha Puja also, to pacify those electromagnetic currents, which is another story altogether. So one has to avoid going to places which have got all these dust and pollen, especially where there is car fumes, traffic,
Right.
and you can't do your breathing exercises and do your jogging and walking in those places. You'll come back more sick than ever, right?
So my guru used to say, when you sing wrong notes, you're causing pollution.
You're what?
Causing pollution. You're causing people
Exactly.
around you to be sick.
Yeah,
That's similar to what you said about psychic pollution.
very important. So we have to take care that our bronchioles and your capillaries don't get congested with these pollutants, because then people suffer from emphysema and lung diseases and things like that,
Asthma.
and a host of other lung problems. So, moral of the story is try to see, and even indoor pollution is there. Our machines, electromagnetics, some people nowadays sleep with your iPhone and they charge the iPhone while sleeping. These are all wrong things, because the emission from machines negatively affect our body and our sleep also. People watch TV, right, in the night, and they put on the red light also affects. So your body is pulling electromagnetic currents from there. So one has to, when you sleep, it should be totally dark. No light should be there. And we have to take care, even in our carpets that are indoor polluted.
Yes.
So you have to take care of everything. That's why cleanliness is the fundamental aspect of life. I always believe in that. Think clean, act clean, be clean in your body, mind, soul, and the environment. That is proper ecology. And then you will be able to dance your way through life with proper breathing.
Now that we understand the effect of pollution on the body, you mentioned earlier something about conscious breathing. Can you elaborate about the nature of conscious breathing?
Now, it's a very valid question, very important for everybody to know. What happens during conscious breathing. But in order to know the benefits of conscious breathing, one has to understand the mechanics of unconscious breathing. See, everyone is born with lungs and rib cage and everything, right? The whole mechanism is already there. A child is born, he automatically breathes. Nobody teaches, mother or father never teach him how to breathe correctly. So how it happens, he's not aware of it, right? So what the yogis found out, that the center of command, the source of the command in unconscious breathing commences from the medulla oblongata. So from medulla oblongata, the impulses are sent via the spinal nervous system to the diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm automatically lunges downward. Now, the intercostal muscles, that is the muscles between the rib cages, they expand, right? So, two things are happening simultaneously. One is the diaphragm is going down and the rib cage muscles are expanded, right?
Right.
So, what happens? What's the mechanics of this?
Inhalation.
Vacuum is created. Nature cannot tolerate vacuum. So automatically it draws the breath into the body. This is a God-given gift to us, that even though we may not be conscious or aware, breathing will continue, life will continue. But during the course of our living, we have become experts at spoiling the rhythm of our body, spoiling the rhythm of our breathing. We are champions in that by our negative thinking, negative emotions. So then the breathing pattern gets disturbed, right? Even the unconscious breathing gets petrified inside. What is going on with this people's mind, and then people get into disarray. That's why it's very important to become conscious of your breathing, especially when you are relating to your emotions. Get hold of yourself. Now, what happens during conscious breathing? The location and the source of impulse gets transferred from the medulla oblongata to the cerebral cortex of the brain. Now you may ask, what is the cerebral cortex? So I'll just explain you a little bit. It's 2 millimeter to 4 millimeter gray matter covering over the hemispheres of the brain. Okay. Now this has got aggregated of all the nerves there inside. So when you become conscious of this, the impulses, the commands to the rib cage and the diaphragm bypasses the medulla oblongata and goes direct to that. So then you'll ask, what's the difference between that signal and this signal? The beauty of conscious breathing is that it is in close proximity to the evolved part of the brain. Medulla oblongata is the ancient, not so evolved as the brain hemispheres. Now, what is inside? The pituitary and the pineal gland. So, what happens automatically, and the cerebral cortex has a direct effect on your emotions and your thought flow. So, automatically relaxation takes place. Now, the other way one can think is that because of its proximity to the pituitary gland, endorphins are released. Right? So, when you are doing conscious breathing, you become more relaxed by way of the endorphins, which people nowadays talk about. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen it, but it's hearsay to me. But I know for a fact that conscious breathing is a very relaxing technique and must be incorporated into one's lifestyle to reduce all the stress, all the tension, all the emotional imbalances. Your mind will become more attentive, focused, relaxed, and that relaxation is cyclic. So the more you are conscious of it, the more relaxed you will get, and vice versa. And a relaxed mind is then ready for higher techniques and higher purposes of pratyahara and dharana. If your mind is restless, you can't do anything, right?
Right.
So conscious breathing is one technique to reduce all the stress and muscular tension, mental stress to a lowest level possible. That's it.
Is there an explanation of how?
Yeah, I told you that because the cerebral cortex is a thin layer over the hemispheres, right?
No, but you lost me with all that detail. Why do I need to know all that? How do I do conscious breathing?
You just
What do
be
I do?
aware of it.
So that you missed. Can you just say that?
You want me to say now? Well, basically is that you just have to be aware of your breathing. When you're breathing and you become aware of your breath, that becomes conscious breathing. Simple as that.
Yeah, but I think the assumption was there, but
Yeah.
you didn't say it. You're at
Well,
a higher level, so you don't realize what people want to hear.
Okay, I'm saying it in a simple way.
But you
that,
want us to become conscious of our breathing so that it can become a habit to breathe slower.
Yeah. my suggestion is that
Slower and
one
deeper.
should practice conscious breathing regularly so that eventually it becomes a part of your system. Your subconscious, this is the only habit that becomes unconscious to conscious. Because normally all habits are unconscious. But this is the only one that will lead you from unconsciousness to consciousness. Even though it's a habit, it becomes a part of your system.
So that's what you want us to do.
Yeah, conscious breathing for the purpose of generating hormones, proper hormones in the bloodstream to make you more relaxed. And a relaxed mind is a focused mind. A focused mind is an intelligent mind. Isn't that what we all want? If you go to school with a deep breath, why do you will see that before anybody starts a lecture or goes to give a talk, he has a deep breath. Always there is a deep breath. You'll watch that. And even weightlifters, why do they always breathe? They take a deep breath, right? To get energized. So conscious breathing relates with other deep and slow breathing techniques also, which I'll come to you now.
So Dadusen has explained to us why we should go from unconscious breathing to conscious breathing, the end goal being a focused mind, a relaxed mind, a controlled mind. Now that we're clear on that, we can ask him, what is the importance of slow breathing? What is the importance of deep breathing? Can you help us with that?
Deep and slow breathing. Now, let us think from a common sense level. When the breath is deep, that means you are inhaling more oxygen in the breath, and more exchange is taking place in the lungs. Now, when there is depth in your breathing, like slow and depth, what happens? The lower chambers of your lungs are generally stagnant with blood and poisonous blood. So when the breath is deep, the breath enters the lower chambers of your lungs and remove all the poisonous chemicals and gases from there. It eliminates. So the blood which enters through the what you call a finer capillaries do not have the poisonous blood anymore. The blood is fresh because all the stagnant things have come out through the exchange in the alveoli. You got it up to the moment. Okay, so that is one thing. Secondly, when your breath is deep, the diaphragm goes down, right? And the muscles, intercostal muscle expands. So this gives a natural massage to all the visceral organs in your abdomen area. And you'll realize we all love massages, right? So why not our organs inside? So our organs feel very, very happy when somebody is giving them a massage. And stomach, liver, kidney, spleen, all these in the intestines all get a gentle massage by the diaphragm because the depth is there, right? So now what happens? During the course of our existence, many of our organs become sluggish. The stomach becomes sluggish, the intestine becomes sluggish, the liver becomes sluggish. So the breath goes and wakes them up. Hey, wake up, man, start working, start functioning. And this is what health is all about. The functioning of every organ in the body in tandem with the rhythm of life. And that rhythm also comes with the breath. Now, slow breathing. So we have finished two aspects of deep breathing, right? Now, slow breathing. What happens during slow breathing? In slow breathing, your inhalation is very slow and therefore your exhalation is also very slow. So this allows what you call breath retention. So your prana and your oxygen are retained for a longer period in the lungs. Normally what we do when we do short breathing or chest breathing or shallow breathing, the air does not go deep inside for a proper exchange to take place. So slow breathing is very, very important to see that the breath retention takes place and you are able to fulfill your exchange of gases effectively. And of course, slow breathing will also add to your life duration, as we have mentioned early, because slow breath and deep breath automatically reduces your breath cycle from 15 to maybe 12, maybe 11, maybe 10. So this is one important. Now, the most important thing, we have to understand one important aspect is the brain. Now, our brain weighs 2% of our body, but it consumes 20% of our oxygen intake. Now, just imagine a person breathing like this. What will he give to the brain? Nothing. So that's why most of the people are having brain problems, Alzheimer's, Parkinson. All these things are directly related to breathe polluted air and shallow breathing. Directly related, because you're not able to give your neurons sufficient oxygenation and nutrients. Okay, now look at the magnitude of staggering this. I just learned a few days ago. There are 85 billion neurons in the brain and 85 non-neural and 86 billion non-neural cells in the brain.
Wow.
All these things need oxygen, it needs nutrients to survive, because neurons are the only cell in the body that do not divide and multiply. All other cells multiply. So if a neuron dies, holi ho gayi, chutti ho gayi.
That's it.
It's not going to be born. So when you are breathing carefully, deep, you are nourishing your brain cells. And this is what is extremely, extremely important. You know, it's so staggering. Now, can you imagine, there are 86 billion these neurons. Neurons have got electrical impulses. Now, from one cell to another cell, from one cell to another cell, how does communication take place? These are called dendrites and synapses. And I'm getting technical,
It's fine.
but there are 100 trillion such bridges inside.
The brain.
So can you imagine the enormity, the enormous, that how fundamental it is to do proper breathing to activate your brain cells. And of course, if you want to live intelligently, you want to do yoga, you want to do pranayam, you want to be good in school or good in your business, you have to learn this effectively. So
Importance
these
of
are the
breath.
importance of 4 things I've told you. Just I think it should be enough for that.
So, to summarize, deep and slow breathing helps with releasing toxins, maximizing oxygenation, it nourishes brain cells, and massages vestigial organs. These are the advantages, which bring me to my last question, which is what kind of breathing and what kind of breathing patterns should we avoid, Daduzen?
First of all, anything that goes against deep, slow, rhythmic. I forgot to tell you about rhythmic. Breathing should also have a rhythm. It may be sleep and slow and deep, but there should be a certain rhythm to it. And that rhythm it enhances the relaxation. So what is to be avoided at all times? You have to be very aware of it. All kind of short breathing. People breathe up to here. This is no good. It is like breathing like a bird. It doesn't help. Short breathing, quick breathing, shallow breathing, all these things, erratic breathing, all these things have to be avoided under any circumstances. So you have to realize that fast breathing, some people breathe very fast, right? It denotes a kind of stress and tension. If you sit with a person, you'll come to know from his breathing pattern how much of tension, you'll be able to figure out whether he's tense or not. Because fast breathing cycle indicates stress and tension. For example, if a person is anxious, anxiety. Now is anxiety, which is related to fear, worry, and leads to ill health of all kinds, unhappiness, and other breathing problems have to be, and other disturbances in the entire pranic flow is because of this fast breathing. So when a person is having anxiety, his breathing becomes shallow and fast. You check it out. A person who's having too much of anxiety, his breathing will become shallow and fast. And a person who is angry, his breathing becomes short and forceful. So you have to be very, very alert to avoid that, because this short and forceful breathing creates havoc in your body system. That's why all these saints and sages, thanda dimag karo, gussa mat karo, it has a direct effect on your breath and prana.
That's why they say in anger it's a huffing and puffing.
So now before you fight with your spouse, and as soon as anger is about to come, shift the gear from unconscious to conscious breathing. When you become conscious, automatically you'll breathe slow and deep. And once you are able to breathe slowly and deeply, that anger will vanish. They say that if anybody is ready to fight with somebody, and it always happens on the dining table, everybody fights there. I don't know for what purpose. Before it happens, focus your attention on after sending your command for consciousness, focus on your toe. For a few seconds or 1 minute, if you focus on your toe, your anger will vanish away. Now there's a secret I've given you. It's a yogic secret.
Focus on your toe.
Yeah. It's not a made up story. I've read it somewhere, so I'm sharing it with you. Then the other person is another type of breathing.
No, but focus on your toe for what? So you can direct your breath there, or?
Focus on attention.
Okay.
Attention goes away, anger gets diffused. You want to play games with your anger, right? We have to play
Distract.
games within ourselves. Mahabharata and Rama and everything is inside our body. The whole microcosm is a reflection of macrocosm. All games are being played inside. So we have to be smart. We have to be one step ahead. And the only way we can do is to learn the breath. A person who learns about his breath, he can command the world.
So there are two options you're giving an angry person. One is conscious breathing, and number 2 is distract it with your toe.
Yeah, that's one. So you can experiment with it. You don't have to take my word for it. You try it. If it works, it works.
Of course.
Okay. And then you will see grief. People who are in grief, their breathing become gasping. They are always gasping and they are arrhythmic. There's no rhythm in their breathing. So you have to be very
Rhythmic.
careful. And you can tell a person who's in grief, gasping, So these are the identification marks of, through the breath you can come to know. And then the worst is people in depression, hi. They're always sighing. Their breath is more like a sigh, hi, मैं क्या करूँ, मेरे से ये क्यों हुआ है? So their breathing becomes a sigh.
And more exhalation.
Yeah, also a good point. So then all these things affect the flow of oxygen and prana in your breath. All the benefits of deep slow breathing is lost to you. So obviously you will become a sickling. So if you want to avoid being a sickling, then moral of the story is conscious breathing, slow breathing, deep breathing. Because when you're aware, then you'll be automatically being aware of your anxiety level, your anger level, and if you're getting into depression, you'll come to know. So all these aspects, or if you're getting into grief, you'll be able to check yourself. So the moral of the story, if you want to avoid all kinds of diseases, at least up to 40%, in my opinion, at least, will be resolved. Balance is the way you think, feel, and eat, right? And exercise. But proper breathing will alleviate most of your problems to a cyclic rhythm.
Tal, like we have in music.
Yeah, tal, like you said, like you're a musician, you sing. So you'll understand this better. So if you can breathe well and stay well, to your grandchildren you'll have many stories to tell. Jai Sri Ram.
Thank you
Jai
so much,
Sri
Uncle.
Krishna.
This has been very, very informative. And
How to say? Are you sure it's very informative?
this has been very, very informative. I'm sure we've all learned a lot. And I have to thank you. This will help me with my music and with my spiritual journey.
Of course it will. You'll become conscious of your breath, and while you're singing you will come to know. And incidentally, according to Shivananda, as we wrap up this whole thing, singing is a part of pranayama.
My guru says the same.
Yeah, it's a part of pranayama because you're raising your level, you're automatically taking deep breath,
You have to.
right?
That is part of the
So
riyaz.
it's part of reality.
That's our sadhana.
So music, in my book that I wrote, Why Yoga for You, I've dealt with all these aspects of meditation, stress, and tension, and what is the true meaning of meditation. People have very misunderstanding about meditation. People
So-
think that meditation is about doing.
So can
No.
we do a next show about meditation then? Because
Of
I
course
think
we
we
can
have
do.
another several hours of information to
we
gain
can
from
keep
you.
on talking about it. We can share our knowledge, and you can share your singing experience, and I'll share with you whatever little that I know of. And I'm sure people will understand the meaning of meditation. Because whenever you go to any satsang, people are always complaining.
Where is the end of this?
People are always complaining, right? You must have heard, right? Swamiji, mera dhyan nahi lagta hai.
Yes.
I cannot know why. There is a fundamental reason for it. So we will come to that when we take up the matter of meditation and how to build up that category and how to evolve. Meditation is a
forward.
different ball game altogether. But breathing is fundamental to existing and having health at your command. If you're not healthy, what can you? You can't even sing properly.
You can't sit in
You can't
meditation.
even enjoy your life. You know, a sickly person is a liability to everybody in the family. So the first duty of every human being is to take care of this temple. I'd rather pray in this temple house rather than go out. I'm not saying that you should not go to the temple.
But
But
it's important
this is the
to
greatest engineering
helpful.
feat by the greatest architect. Can you imagine, in trillions of cells are there in over 40, some people say 37.5 trillion cells. Some people are saying 75 trillion cells. Now these figures, I don't even know how much, if somebody asks me how much is a trillion. I would like to conclude this topic of breath with one caveat. One must be very, very alert to avoid at all costs the habit of mouth breathing. Because in mouth breathing, the air is not processed or filtered, and therefore the lungs receive air that is not pure. And this is extremely detrimental to the aspect of respiration. This problem of mouth breathing is known to cause sleep disorders, it's brain fog, dental problems, bad breath, facial deformities. It worsens the symptoms of any disease. It causes snoring and tiredness, especially in the morning. And therefore, one has to avoid this to maintain a good flow of health. Now, you're most vulnerable or susceptible to mouth breathing at your dining table. It is said when you are eating, you should just eat. Don't talk much. Because when you talk and make your dining table a boxing ring sometimes, there is a tendency to inhale more air through the mouth, especially if your nostrils are blocked. Then the problem is are aggravated more. So this results, along with gassy food if you're taking, the next morning you'll have a big problem of bloated stomach or gas or flatulence or stomach pains. So gassy food and gassy talk should be avoided, otherwise you'll have to go for a long walk, and especially in the morning. So eating time is considered in yoga sacrosanct. It should be done prayerfully and no talking or eating in a hurry, because even talking in a hurry or eating in a hurry causes the mouth breathing intake. So the moral of the story is breathe consciously and also eat consciously. So glory to God and obeisance to the Lord, and let Him grant us mercy and joy and happiness and good breathing techniques.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anka.
विशाल भैया अनम्यूट विशाल भैया अनम्यूट
Hello. Yeah, sorry. Dada, thank you very much for this insightful show. And also, I would like to thank our guest speaker today, and it was really very insightful. And we came to know so many things about the breathing exercise and the way you breathe. So my key takeaways from this session are that conscious breathing you should practice. This is one. Secondly, Dada is very well said that it's a relaxed mind is a focused mind. So that we need to practice, because once we are focused and relaxed, then only we can do some great things in life. And the last but not the least, but the way you said, the breathing should be slow and it should be deep, which creates a sense of relaxation in our body and mind. So, and of course, lot many things, but these are my three takeaways from this session. And if Dada is around, can we invite Dada if you're around? Is Dada Dayal Harjani online? Okay,
No, Vishal
sure.
Bhaiya,
So maybe
not.
okay, no worries. So yeah, so I'll end this session with a shloka, which is close to my heart. Today is Monday, so it makes sense to have a Shiv shloka today. So I will end this session with this shloka. Om Trambakam Gacchamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Purvarukmi Vapandana Mrityormokshe Yamakrita. Thank you, Jai Julelal, Hari Om. Thank you everyone for being there and listening. We'll see you soon again with a new show.